Good morning, everybody. I did a video series a while ago called Mormons Are Not Honest, and that's part of the title. And someone responded to me, and I didn't know it because under this new system I had no idea that it was regulated to another file. Half the time this whole thing that's supposed to pop up across the top, it says, you know, you have comments that need to be checked, you know, see if they're trash or if they're actually valid comments. Well, it was in there and I had no idea because that little thing didn't pop up and tell me until someone actually left a comment on YouTube and saying, hey, why didn't you answer this person's comment or video? And I'm like, what video? What comment? Well, now I know. And now I'm going to respond. This is a video that was made, James R., Mormon preachers in a Baptist church, must see. And he goes through and details how he thinks that, yes, he has been a Christian all along. All he's basically done in his eyes is switch to a denomination that it's a denomination in his eyes that has further revelation that complements the Bible. And what I'm going to attempt to do here today is a response to you, James R., and show you how you are making assumptions with your lack of Hebraic studies that you cannot support because you don't know how to support. You've never been taught this. And most Baptist churches and Protestant churches nowadays are completely apostate. And most of them have been that way since their inception. Okay, now I'm going to try and break this down for you. This is the Bible. King James Bible. Do you know that as a Mormon you partake in what's called replacement theology? This is why. This Bible is written, 70% of this Bible is written directly to the Hebrew nation, the Jews. The remainder is the grafted in part for the Gentiles as made available by Jesus Christ's sacrifice on the cross and resurrection. Mormons have not replaced, they haven't reformed anything. You do not understand anything about the Hebrew culture through your Mormonism. An example of that, prime example of that, is saying that the New Jerusalem is going to be somewhere in Missouri. That is completely asinine in its statement, in and of itself, at face value. The Israel, the New Jerusalem, is going to come down in Israel, somewhere in that area. And, you know, being 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles, that's going to be big. I don't know if it's going to come down to Earth itself or it's going to hover just above Earth. I don't know. I won't pretend to know. I'll see it later. But it's not going to be no Missouri that it comes down. Now, I don't know if you've ever actually studied history. I'm very amateurish at it myself, but I do know the method by which we know history. It's called the evidentiary method. It's the same method used in the court of law. You say you sought further revelation through another group, the Mormons, and that this is not completed. That you say in your own words that it couldn't be complete. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is complete. It goes from Genesis to Revelation and details for you step by step through prophecy exactly what's going to happen. Out of 2,500 prophecies, 2,000 have been fulfilled, with 500 remaining, and as we all know, Isaiah 17, Isaiah 19, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38, 39 are in the process of being fulfilled right now as I speak. Isaiah 17 and 19, obvious. Damascus, Syria, and Egypt, right in the middle of their throes of chaos. The Arab Spring, the countries around Israel, being converted to Muslim Brotherhood. Ezekiel 38, 39, we see right now being set up with Ukraine, the eastern portion of Ukraine being taken over by the Russians, raising their gas prices. And when Ezekiel 38, 39 does take place, it's because they're coming for a spoil. And we all know that Israel, in its natural gas discoveries, the largest in the world ever, is now starting to sell their natural gas. they are going to replace Russia in that role, and Russia will have no choice but to come down to take the spoils from Israel. 1 John, you say that you were a Christian before, and I'm telling you now, you never have been. Let's see, where is it at? I must have. Well, it's 1 John chapter 1 or 2, verse 19. Up here says, you know, in order to be a Christian, you have to believe upon Christ, of course. But the Mormon Christ is not the Christ of these scriptures, which is actually self-evident, unless you've been programmed by the Mormon Church to think in a different way and you're getting false information, being deceived, which you have been. If you are a Christian, you would have stayed a Christian. You wouldn't have looked for further revelation outside of this book, especially from a source that can't be proven. Now, I spoke of the evidentiary method. How do we determine history? The Bible. Over 24,000 New Testament documents, ancient, portions of documents or full documents, from 1st, 2nd, 3rd centuries, in 4 languages: Syriac, Coptic, Latin, and Greek. They can take all of these 24,000 copies, cross-reference them, and there's a 0.005% discrepancy in words. They know full well what was in the Bible and what was not in the Bible, from what time frame. Your discounting of the Old Testament being written to the Jews shows that the Mormonism is absolutely false. We have many Old Testament, you know, at the Cave Cumorah, the Cumorah manuscripts, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Are you a Hebrew? Do you speak Hebrew? If you say no, then you, by being a Mormon, have replaced the Old Testament. That's why you think the New Jerusalem is going to come land in Missouri. Now, there are so many differences between Mormonism and Christianity that the two religions are mutually exclusive, one being true, one being false, Mormonism being false. I will link to a video series that you can watch up here that goes verse by verse and shows this. Now, you say you had a vision telling you, you know, there's more. And then that God talks to you. I can tell you now, you have received no further revelation from God. If you left baptism, the Baptist church, which granted they're now all turning apostate, and went to Mormonism, you've never been a Christian. You don't know the differences between the two Jesuses. Jesus of Mormonism is the son of Satan, or the brother to Satan, created by God. This cannot be, because Jesus is God, creator of Satan. There is no spirit mother that God's having sexual unions with and creating spirit children. That's not going on. You don't find that anywhere in these scriptures at all. It's all satanic revelation in the Book of Mormon or Catholicism or whatever other systems there are. It's not from this. Now, if you say you looked at this honestly, and that's why I said Mormons are not honest or they're completely ignorant of scriptures, and you looked at Christianity, then you say it's lacking, that this doesn't have full revelation, and you turn to another system, Mormonism, and by using the evidentiary method to judge what is history, you look at Mormonism and they have absolutely zero. There is no history for Mormonism beyond what Joseph Smith wrote. And then the following prophets and apostles, or whatever you guys call it. By the way, an apostle cannot be an apostle unless he walked with Jesus Christ and heard him teach in the flesh with Jesus Christ. There are no further apostles. The foundation stones have been placed, Jesus being the cornerstone. Now, I'm going to read you some verses because, as like most Mormons that I've ever heard talk of, claiming to be Christian, deny the one thing that they always deny, is the Trinity. That Jesus is not the God of these scriptures. Now, let's read this one. Acts chapter 2, verse 24. Whom God raised up, having loosed the pains of death, because it was not possible that he should be held by it. God raised Jesus Christ. John chapter 2, verses 19 to 21. Jesus answered to them, Destroy this temple, in 3 days I will raise it up. Then the Jews said, It has taken us 46 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days? But he was speaking of the temple of his body. Jesus resurrected himself. Romans 8:11. But the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you. He who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his Spirit who dwells in you. Okay, so we have the scriptures, the Bible, giving credit for the resurrection to the Spirit, God, and Jesus. Now, either that's a contradiction, and you have to say that's a contradiction in order to maintain your position, or it's the truth. Now, it's a singular plurality. Our minds in our present state cannot truly grasp this. But to say that the Trinity does not exist, when this is made evident by the Bible teaching Trinity, you can't have the Bible saying 3 different verses, giving credit to 3 different individuals, within one either being truth or a lie. Now, it is the truth. We just don't understand it. But it is clearly taught through those 3 scriptures. Now, here we go with Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. For unto us a child is born, flesh. Unto us a son is given. Son, God, God in flesh. And the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. When the Pharisees had their visceral reaction to Jesus when he said, I am, that was the name given to Moses in the burning bush, how to refer to the monotheistic God of Hebrews, Israel. The I am, that is God. And the reason why they were going to stone Jesus to death right then and there was because he was claiming to be the God, the Creator God, the Father God. He made that claim right there, and it so incensed them as blasphemy. They have no more concept of the Trinity than do you, the Mormon Church. And that's why when the Hebrews, all Hebrews who reject Jesus Christ as their Messiah, as their God and Savior, are going to the lake of fire just like all Mormons are. The eventual place where hell is going to be emptied into, the lake of fire. Because they denied Christ. You know, that phrase, deny Christ, has emphasis to it. It has meaning. He is claiming to be the creator of everything. That makes him not the brother of Lucifer, but the creator of Lucifer. There is no way around your theological position being absolutely bunk. You show me the 24,000 portions of or manuscript, full ancient manuscripts, not counting what we have of the Old Testament as well in Mormonism. You show that historical proof to me. And don't give me this, oh, you have to pray over it and have a warm feeling in your heart. That's not going to work. That's not evidentiary method. That's not proof of historicity. This book can be taken all the way back to Genesis. Moses wrote the Torah. He gave a recounting of their history as given to him by God. The Old Testament, the New Testament, thousands of prophecies, names, places, dates, 24,000 portions or full ancient manuscripts that can be cross-referenced with name, places, dates. This is real. The Book of Mormon is not. You cannot do that. It's an argument from ignorance. If you're going to be truthful, like I've accused Mormons of not being, you have to look at this issue. You have to go into the historicity of Mormonism and either prove it or disprove it. And it starts and ends with Joseph Smith. It's just that simple. Either you believe upon the Jesus Christ of these scriptures, as proven through, we have the more sure word of prophecy, as Peter said, through prophecy, through the historical method of proving history, historicity. We know this to be true. These things cannot be denied for this book. You have zero evidence in your books. None. Either you're honest and you can admit this, or you're dishonest, not just ignorant, but willfully ignorant. That makes dishonesty, deception, and proclaiming the Book of Mormon to be a companion to the Bible. These books are so mutually exclusive that one is clearly by Satan and the other is clearly by God. And like I said, I will give you the whole series here to go through verse by verse and establish this clearly in your mind. And if you refuse to investigate this and you keep putting out this garbage that you're putting out about Mormonism being Christian, then I can tell you with certainty, you will see with your own eyes the rapture come and go. And when that day happens, what are you going to do? You're going to have to go to your Mormon cult leadership and say, why did you lie to me? You know, being the point that Satan is the deceiver, and he's going to use every method at his disposal to deceive people, to deceive the cults, the non-believers, to keep them in their non-belief or in their cult. You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to ask them, why did you lie? And then the more important question is, you're going to have to ask yourself, why did I believe them? You're making historical claims as Mormonism being truth, that the Bible is not full revelation, and that you got your full revelation from Mormonism. This makes you not a Christian from the beginning. You're in deep, serious spiritual trouble. I am begging you, really take a look, because there's going to come a point in time after you see the rapture, you're going to realize people like me for years have been telling people like you. We really tried to tell you. You have to believe upon the Jesus Christ of these scriptures. This book, these scriptures, that you say are not complete. Every single cult that's ever been started has additional works that they try to place onto the Bible. Christian cults. Further revelation, Joseph Smith in a cave, you in your dreams. Constantine, when he had his vision of the cross and the shield, and you know, and from Catholicism going on to absolutely butchering millions of people worldwide, and still claiming to be Christian. Babylonian sacrifices, Babylonian cult pagan practices mixed in with Catholicism. Mormonism and Catholicism are very much alike. How you can just drop Israel, Hebrew, throw it aside and say, oh, we're the Reformed Church, is just mind-numbing. There is a window of time called the Church Age, where the Jews rejected Jesus, the gospel went to the Jews, the gospel went to the Gentiles, so that we could be taken in by adoption. We are the grafted in branch. We are not to be haughty because we are still getting our nourishment from the roots, which are Hebrews, as well as the whole tree and branches besides the grafted in branches. The Bible deals mainly with the Hebrews, written to the Hebrews. 70% of the Bible is written to the Hebrews. To take some Mormon theology which discounts that, says the Hebrews came to America, when there is absolutely no proof of that whatsoever. And then to say that their customs and their practices are somehow the same when they are absolutely separate, different. If you have any honesty, if you have any integrity at all, if you're not ignorant, which I can tell by the way you speak, you're not ignorant. You will watch these videos, you will go through this Bible, and you will prove Mormonism is false yourself. Because if you do not, the price is high for your deception and then your continued deception for promoting Mormonism. All right, I'll wait for your response. Bye.